Right now, the entire world is watching the Middle East. The situation involving Iran is plastered across every headline, every social media feed, and every news channel. And whenever something like this happens, most investors do the exact same thing. They panic, they sell, they run for the safety of cash. But if you look at history, it tells a very different story. These moments of intense geopolitical tension often turn into some of the biggest wealth-building opportunities in the market. Today, I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that smart investors use during times like these. This isn't about predictions or speculation. It's a clear, actionable strategy. Because the next 12 months could create massive opportunities for disciplined investors. So let's break it down. Step 1. Ignore the news cycle. This is one of the biggest mistakes investors make during a global crisis. The media is designed to grab your attention, not to guide your investments. By the time a story hits the headlines, the market has already reacted. Professional investors understand a crucial fact. Markets move based on expectations, not headlines. When uncertainty spikes, emotional investors rush for the exits. But disciplined investors, they prepare. They don't try to predict the future. They build strategies that work no matter what happens. Step 2. Understand the market pattern during crises. If we look back at decades of market history, a fascinating pattern emerges. Geopolitical shocks almost always cause short-term volatility. But in the months that follow, markets tend to recover and push even higher. Why does this happen? Because crises force governments and economies to accelerate investment, innovation, and spending. This sparks massive growth in certain key industries. Step 3. Stay invested and don't panic sell. The first rule of long-term investing is incredibly simple. Stay in the market. Trying to time the market, jumping in and out, almost never works. In fact, research consistently shows that missing just a few of the market's best days can absolutely destroy your long-term returns. And when do those big recovery days usually happen? They often happen when investors are the most scared. So instead of reacting emotionally, disciplined investors use a simple approach called dollar-cost averaging. They invest consistently over time, buying even during periods of uncertainty, and they stay focused on the long-term trend. Step 4. Avoid the hype stocks. During uncertain times, the most fragile companies are the ones that struggle the most. These are the hype stocks, companies with no solid business model, driven purely by excitement and speculation. When the market gets shaky, these stocks can collapse in an instant. Instead, smart investors focus on companies with strong technology, real revenue, long-term competitive advantages, and global demand. These are the companies that not only survive but go on to dominate the next decade. Step 5 is to focus on the biggest megatrend of our time, AI. We are still in the very early innings of the artificial intelligence revolution. This technological shift will completely reshape entire industries. Just like the internet boom created giants like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, the AI era will create the next generation of trillion-dollar companies. But here's the critical part. Not every AI company will be a winner. In fact, many will disappear, just like thousands of companies did during the dot-com bubble. But the ones that remain will dominate the global economy for decades to come. This leads to step 6. Look for the picks and shovels. Instead of chasing the hype around individual AI applications, smart investors focus on the essential infrastructure of AI. These are the companies that power the entire ecosystem. We're talking about the chips, the data centers, the cloud platforms, the cybersecurity, and the networking hardware. These companies provide the tools that every single AI company needs to function. When an entire industry explodes in growth, it's often the infrastructure providers that benefit the most. So, what types of companies should you be watching right now? Look for companies that combine artificial intelligence, cloud computing, semiconductor technology, data infrastructure, cybersecurity, and crucially energy and data center power. It doesn't just run on software. It requires massive computing power, massive amounts of electricity, and a massive physical infrastructure. The companies enabling that infrastructure could see truly enormous growth over the next decade. Step 8. Build a portfolio for the next 10 years. Instead of trying to guess what will happen next week, think about what the world will look like a decade from now. AI will be everywhere. Automation will expand. Data centers will grow exponentially. Robotics will transform industries. The companies leading these technologies today are positioning themselves to dominate the future economy. And finally, Step 9. The simple strategy most investors ignore. The biggest advantage a long-term investor has is consistency. Instead of trying to find the perfect entry point, they just keep investing. Every month, every quarter, through good markets and bad. Sometimes they buy near the top, and sometimes they buy near the bottom. But over time, their average cost stays low while the market trends higher. That is the simple, powerful magic of compounding. Here's the big picture. Global crises will always happen. Wars, recessions, political conflicts, economic shocks, they are a constant. But despite all of that, the market has continued to rise for over a century. Why? Because innovation keeps moving forward. Technology keeps improving. And businesses keep growing. The investors who succeed are not the ones who panic. They are the ones who stay disciplined when everyone else is emotional. Right now, uncertainty is dominating the headlines. But uncertainty is also where opportunity is created. The key is to have a strategy. Ignore the noise, focus on long-term megatrends, invest consistently, and position yourself in the industries that are shaping our future. The next decade of technological innovation could create some of the biggest wealth-building opportunities we have ever seen. And the investors who prepare today will be the ones who benefit the most tomorrow. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.